Here's Wilson, and on the right circle, he scores!
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21,
Spectacular! Braden Holtby!
Hello and welcome once again to the Powerplay Point Podcast. This is the Blue Liner on Point, coming at you once again from Glen Burnie, Maryland. And with me is my co-host, Anna Knox.
Good evening from Bitch in Centerville, Virginia.
Bitchin', huh?
It is. Bringing a good 80s word back. I'm a fan. People in college used to make fun of me because I used the word rad kind of way too much. And I still get comments on my Facebook post with people being like, I can't help it, hear that word and think of you. So I'm going to start using bitchin'.
Okay.
See what happens.
Well, yeah. Might as well see what happens.
Right. We lose a ton of listeners. Well, okay then. I won't use it anymore.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. So, anyway, I'm afraid there's not going to be much to talk about because there just plain hasn't been much hockey to talk about. As you know, the Caps are on their bye week. Might as well call it their Byefelicia week. That's a term we modern people like to use. I'm
going to stick with the 80s terminology. You go with your Byefelicia.
Yeah, anyway. So the Caps are on their bye week, which means not a whole lot of hockey going on. In fact, next game's going to be in a couple of days, and it's a back-to-back home and away, or road and home, actually.
True.
And then they're off for another day, and then it's a matinee Sunday match against the Flyers at home. Then they're off for another several days for the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Florida on
which
Thursday.
Are you going to talk anything about the All-Stars?
Well, okay. So now that you mention it, yes, there's this a bit of wow. I don't know the 2018 version of it, but nice to-do, brouhaha, point of contention, whatever you want to call it, at least in Caps land, about John Carlson being left off.
Yep.
And some would say he's deserving. Yeah, I guess he's deserving in a sense, but not any more so than I would say Nicholas Backstrom, and he didn't make it either.
No way.
So, yeah.
No. John Carlson has had a phenomenal season so far. I mean, seriously, I think, the best he's looked in a long time. He is all over the place. He is, I don't know, I think he just stepped up his game this year. I feel like I'm one of those people that feels like he should have gone, or he should go.
Well, maybe, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence about him because I still see way too many replays where he's standing in front of the net and the puck is behind him and inside of the net.
Mm.
So
compared to the other guys on the line, I mean, I feel like there's other players that you could say that about, and I don't put Carlson as one of those.
I get that, and I get his offensive numbers are literally beyond compare this year, but
yeah,
I like I like a guy that can take care of his own end. I was going to ask you this before. What's so funny?
Nothing. I was going to take your comment and make it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to behave myself.
Why start now?
I know, right? Well, it was just a weird thing that you just said. A guy who can take care of his own end. It just sounds. My mind goes perverted, so let's just forget that.
Guy who can take care of his own end of the ice. What were you thinking?
Well, you didn't say ice, so my mind always goes dirty. So anyways, bring it back. You had a question for me. What was it?
Oh, get off my ice.
No.
Well, so what I was going to ask you was, and I think we just started talking about it a little bit just now, but what I was going to ask you during the week was where you stood on, and you're asking about the All-Star game, where you stood on the fact that there's this rule that every team must have at least one representative.
Right.
You got to have everybody, all the teams represented with at least one player.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you think about it, that rule in and of itself might have cost John Carlson his spot, because guess who is going to the All-Star game?
Hold on. I totally lost you on that part.
Okay,
can you still hear me? Because it's saying poor network connections, and maybe that's my fault.
Okay, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, you went all like Mr. Roboto on me. Okay, I'm good now. Okay, so go back. That we have a player, a representative per team. Okay, so what's the issue?
Domo.
Just stop.
Domo.
No. I totally set myself up for that, but god damn it. Don't choke. What would I do if you choked? And choking by giving a terrible Styx impression, Mr. Roboto. What a terrible way to go. Right?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
may or may not edit that out. I don't know. Yeah, every team has to send at least one player to the game.
Okay.
And so what I was trying to find out was how you felt about that, because that may be pretty much why there's no John Carlson. Because, for example, the Red Wings are only sending one player. Guess who of all people is going to the All-Star game this year?
All right. Well, I haven't even looked, so you're gonna have to tell me.
Mike friggin' Green.
I saw somebody saying today on social media that they want to try to bring him back to DC.
Oh God, no. Yeah,
Right?
I saw that too.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not feeling that at all.
No.
At all.
Well, I'm glad we agree on something.
Yeah, it's a good thing for this. Look at us, 2018.
Yeah.
All right.
But
still plenty of time.
What do you think about that?
Them having to send one player?
Yeah, I mean, do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay, so you don't mind that every team has to have one player?
No, because I think it's fun, maybe more so for the fans to watch, because because it would really suck to have to watch the All-Star game and be like, oh, well, we have no Caps players in there, but now you get to go and you see Ovechkin and Holtby will be there, and I wish Carlson was, but he's not. And I think it's just really cool. I like to see all of them together. Why not? And I think it's interesting when teams who they choose. What player? Mike Green was probably not who I would have chosen, but that's okay. Don't really care about his team. I care about our team, but I like seeing it. I think it makes it fun for the players. I think it makes it fun for the fans. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you know what? I tend to agree, because the game is for the fans.
Yeah.
And that's why. How are you going to draw interest from all 31 entities if you don't have a rooting interest?
Exactly.
all teams. So,
and I have to say, in the past, there is a side of it where, like, there may be that absolute douchebag player that you hate, which, we all have a couple that, just kind of roll off your tongue. And
Sidney Crosby.
Right. Yes. And you just want to cringe-worthy.
Chris Letang?
I do hate. Chris Letang doesn't bother me as much as Marchand. But anyways, so when you get a chance to see them, and they're a little bit more, I mean, this is going to sound like a really stupid word to use, but they're a little bit more playful. Like they're just having a good time because they truly love the sport, and it doesn't matter who they're playing with. There's not that like asshole, drop the gloves, like immediate fight. They're out there to have a good time. They're enjoying each other. They're giving each other a hard time on the bench, and it's fun to watch. And I think that kind of gives you a little different perspective of the players. And then I don't know. I think it's good, and I like to see all the teams represented.
Yeah, and I agree. So
I don't even know if we can continue the show because you're throwing me for a loop that we're agreeing.
Two topics we already agree.
Yeah. I mean, and I like a favorite number's 3, and I'm like, everything comes in 3s. I'm like, oh, what are you going to tell me next?
Well, I think we're going to actually forego a recap of the week's games, except for a few crazy highlights.
Well, we got to talk about Jay Beagle.
Oh, we're definitely going to talk about Jay Beagle.
Okay.
Definitely going to talk about him. He had a pretty good week. If you listen to last night's Sports on the Hill podcast as we're recording this is January the 16th, Tuesday, January the 16th. Last night, Sports on the Hill podcast went live, as they always do every Monday night, and they devoted the first half hour or so to Caps hockey, and they provided a good summation of the Caps week. So we're not going to go too strenuous into the recap. We all know what happened. Pick up from last Tuesday's game against the Canucks. They won that with the 2 weird goals. Then there was the loss against Carolina. Going to focus on something that happened there in a second, and then of course the
win
heroics a night later.
Yeah.
Here we are because it's the Byefelicia week. Are
you going to use that throughout the whole show?
Why not?
Why? Like,
You agree with me. You agree with me on 2 major points. You're going to disagree with me and get on me about this?
Yeah, because it sounds stupid. Like, I mean, it really. There are certain people that can say it, and you're like, oh, that's funny. I'm not laughing. But go ahead, Felicia. Do your thing.
Laugh.
I won't. Go ahead.
My name is not Felicia.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it was the highlight or the focal point I want to make is the back-to-back home and home against the Hurricanes.
Which I didn't understand that.
Well, this happens every once in a while. There's a quirk in the schedule, and this is how games are scheduled.
I guess
it's home and home on back-to-back days.
Mm-hmm.
So. Pardon me. Probably one of the worst games, if I may say so, that the Caps have played this year was last Thursday in the loss against the Hurricanes at home in all places. But something very unusual happened in that game.
Okay.
The Caps got a bench minor penalty as a result of pretty crazy play.
No. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I'd never seen it either. And I was actually driving home at the time, so I was listening on the radio. So I was listening to the call from John Walton and Ken Sabrin on the radio. And it was early in the second period. And as in the middle of a transitional play, Tom Wilson had lost his stick.
Right.
And was racing to the bench to get a replacement. And, of course, I mean, it's radio, so I can't see it, but apparently somebody tried to deliver it to him via airmail.
Which I believe was Ovechkin.
It was Ovechkin.
Yeah.
And so the radio guys were confused when there was a stoppage in play. All they could see was that the Caps bench was being pointed at. And then you heard the referee's call, and he said bench minor for throwing the stick to a player or something like that.
Yeah, I did not understand. It was a terrible game in the sense that they looked really, really sluggish. I mean, it wasn't a pretty game. I was frustrated. I was really hoping for, the 10th or 11th win, home ice, whatever it was going to be. And it just, we didn't deserve it. It sucked. But then watching that, I was like, I've never seen it. I mean, of course, you're more, been watching hockey longer than I have. I know that's
why don't you just say I'm old? That's what you really wanted to say.
I kind of do. I think you're only older than me by like 13 months, but that's a long time. Right? Aren't you going to be like 47? Just kidding.
Older than 13 months?
Yeah, I think you're older than me by 13 months.
Oh.
Why?
You.
I'm just kidding.
You accused me of being 47, so
no.
It's not like a woman to give her age away.
I know. I'm 42. I'm 42. I'm 42. Wow. I'm all good with it.
Holy.
I have totally embraced my 40s. I'm all good with it. But we can totally edit this part out. How's that? I think that sounds fair. Right? But anyways, what I was saying, back to the thing, like I didn't understand the penalty, to be honest. So I need your expertise. And yes, that is a compliment, but I would like for you to explain it to me.
I'm glad you asked, because I know what actually happened.
Okay.
I know what the intent was anyway. So I happened to get my hands on some replays. So so again, Tom Wilson's racing to the bench for a replacement stick because his either got lost or broken or something. He had to get a new one.
Right.
So what he actually did was he shouted to the bench, "Hey, if somebody gets me a stick, I'll buy them a beer." And so
I seriously hate where the story is going, but go ahead.
Alex Ovechkin then thought, he said, "Oh, you want me to throw it like a spear?" And that's where, so that disconnect is what. So he's just trying to be a good captain, good teammate. Get him the new stick as soon as he could. So that's really what happened.
Mm-hmm. I'm biting my tongue.
You don't believe me?
God, no. But anyways, okay. Can you?
So okay. In all seriousness, yes. This is actually, I looked it up. This is actually a thing. You cannot do that. If you're on the bench, okay. You can't. There's some rule where you can't interact with the play like this. There was a game with the San Jose Sharks like 3-4 years ago where a guy who was sitting on the bench actually shoved the puck with his stick. Didn't get caught, but as it turns out, he should have been.
Okay.
So it's something like that.
Well, I guess I'm not. I understand what you're saying, but I just thought it was like the most ridiculous call.
It is a ridiculous call, but it's on the books. They have to call it.
Oh no, I understand. I'm just saying I don't understand. I understand they have to call it. I don't understand the rule, because what was he supposed to do? Did he have to get off the ice to get a stick, or could it not? Did it have to come from a non-player?
It was the fact that it was thrown. If it was the fact that it was an object thrown towards the ice during play.
Whatever.
I agree. I don't believe it's like anal bleaching. You can't believe that it's a thing, but it is a thing.
My New Year's resolution is seriously going to go out the door. All right. And no, it's not about anal bleaching. My New Year's resolution was to be more pleasant on the air, and I just can't. How do you even think of these things? My God.
It's
How do you sit there and think, like, I don't know, I would have thought, I don't know, like anal bleaching wouldn't have even been in my head at the time to think of that as a comparison. Oh, gal. All right. Well, that's why we do this, so we can have our differences, Felicia.
Well, like I said, you wouldn't believe it's a thing, but it actually is a thing. It's on the books, so they had to call it.
Yes.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Okay, but crappy effort all around in that game. They just looked lethargic. Like
very much so.
Not something we're accustomed to. Not something we should have had to see. But that was what happened. And then they turn around, go about 7 or 8 hours south over to Raleigh, and some would say turn in just as crappy of an effort, and managed to, I think it was, let's see here, it was another come-from-behind effort. Brett Connolly managed to tie the game with about 3 minutes left. This after Jordan Stahl, again, I think he did score the first goal in the previous game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lars Eller tied it. Captain pulled him ahead by one. Then Sebastian, excuse me, comes back and ties it, and Jeff Skinner pulls them ahead. That's when Brett Connolly tied it late in the third.
Mm-hmm.
And then who should come out of the shadows?
Thank you very much, Jay
Time
Beagle.
dwindling. Okay, well this is, and not simply because we mentioned him last week, but
I'm sorry, I mentioned him last week.
We both talked about him last week. You brought him up.
Okay.
You brought him up. We both talked about him last week. But anyway, before you take your little curtain call here, let me give the proper introduction. So my co-host, as the game began,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're texting, and she looks into her crystal ball,
Yep.
and texts me the message. You know what? Let me go ahead and read this verbatim so that people aren't thinking I'm crazy.
Can you read it verbatim? I'm sure I've dropped a bunch of F-bombs. Maybe that was... No, I think that was after he scored.
No, that's.
It was clean, maybe.
Yeah, it was clean.
Okay.
But you said something that was very
amazing,
very intuitive.
Mm-hmm. That witchy side of me came out.
Okay,
I think.
So you actually so we were talking about the weather, and you had pretty much predicted the temperature to a T beforehand, as well as the letter. I'm sorry, the general weather. And then the game was starting, and here's what you said. If Beegs scores, I will be impressed with my skills. meaning your ability to see things before they happen sometimes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And wasn't long after that, at the end of the game, that yes, he did indeed score.
And not just score, but like with 0.5 seconds left on the clock.
And before we get into anything else, I've mentioned this many times in the past. One of my my absolute favorite overall hockey podcast is the Puck Podcast, and they actually went and said that they found out that this is actually, and here's another thing. You can't believe this is a thing, but it's a thing.
Please don't. Okay.
What do you think I was going to say?
I never know. The fact that we've had a Mr. Roboto impersonation or impression, and then
see, now that you've said that, I have to leave that in.
I know you do. And now anal bleaching. So now I never know what the third trifecta is going to be with you. But okay, go ahead. So these guys said what?
So these guys actually dug up the fact that in Washington Capitals history, this is the absolute latest game-winning goal that was ever scored. Apparently, it's either 2010 or 2011, Alexander Semin scored a goal to go ahead and get the Caps the win with 11 seconds left.
Okay.
In the third period. And, of course, this beats that by about 9 or 10 seconds.
Yeah,
so
it was
it's very
freaking amazing.
Unless somebody gets a game-winning goal with like 0 time left, which is impossible.
Right.
This will probably go down as the latest ever Washington Capitals game-winning goal, and it was scored by number 83. And wonderful Miss Mermaid, Miss Anna, you can go ahead and take a bow because you predicted, and I'm your witness, that it would indeed happen. And it did indeed happen.
And I was almost freaking out because I think the first goal is that the first one they gave out to Aller. I thought it was Vrana, who I think got the assist. I could be wrong. It was, I don't know. You'd have to look that up for me. But I was about to seriously freak out because I think I told you in the text earlier, I was gonna just be so impressed with my skills if Beek scored, and that would be awesome. And then how crazy would it be?
So
with
actually, so that's
Oshie and Vrana, Oshie and Vrana.
Right, exactly. So to put things in context, it was around this text that I got was right around the time that Lars Eller had scored to tie the game in the middle of the first period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you said, like you said just now, you had Vrana and Oshie and Beagle in your head.
Right.
For some reason. That's when you said, well, it'd be great if Beagle would score. I'd be impressed if that's what he did. And lo and behold, 2 periods later, that's what he does. And
it was so awesome.
It was. So,
I mean, I've seen from the aerial footage, the slow motion, like everything. I've seen so many different angles, and it was just like he was in the perfect place at the perfect time, and his, just his skills, it was awesome. It was really, and good for him, and that's why I wanted to. I praised him last week because I didn't feel like we had spoken about him enough. And so for him to get that, it was a big F yeah. I was impressed. And I was impressed with my skills. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, so absolutely.
We'll
so
see what happens.
Do please take a bow.
I will.
Ms. Anna Knox, you called it, just like Billy Lang did last year. with when he was at the game and he was interviewed live. So it's good to be a Caps fan because sometimes you get these psychic abilities apparently.
Yeah, and I think he's.
I'm kidding. I'm kind of kidding.
I'm gonna curse you now. You watch yourself. And I'm pretty sure, and I know this is like don't ask me why I know this, but I think when Billy was coming to stay with Robin last year, that it was around, it was going to be in March and he was going to be out here for his birthday. And I think his birthday is like a day or so before mine. So there's that Pisces thing. So he knows his hockey, and he had his little psychic moment, and I was riding the wave and I just felt good. So we'll see what happens on Thursday, what I'm feeling.
So it's kind of a good, bad, weird, strange week all around.
Absolutely.
You had all those weird goals in the Vancouver game, And you had this moment we just described. You had the stick throwing penalty, and you also have the fact that okay, so the Carolina Hurricanes, we've gotten to know them very well the last few games because we played them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They have a guy on their team that's pretty good named Sebastian Aho. Well, there happens to be another guy in the league named Sebastian Aho. Again, you wouldn't think that this is a thing, but it's a thing.
It is. It is.
And he so this other Sebastian Aho plays for the New York Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
And they spell their names the exact same way.
Well, how many different ways can you spell Aho? Really? And Sebastian. I mean, like, those aren't names that like Sean and Sean. You can spell those two different ways. But Sebastian is pretty much as is, and so is Aho.
Well,
now, if they had the same number, then I would be impressed with your story. But right now, the anal bleaching sticking out more than these two guys having the same name. But that's okay.
Okay, you're sticking anal bleaching out there?
I am, because I still can't believe that you brought it up. And okay, anyway, so Ahos. There's two of them. Okay.
Well, actually, I thought everybody had just one Aho.
God. And there we go. All good. So you have to keep
Three's my limit. I'm driving.
Drinking my cocktail. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's just another weird thing this week that I happened to find out, and that's one of the reasons why, I don't know about anybody else, I can't speak for anybody else, but that's one of the reasons why I love this game so much, because there are so many good and weird things about this game.
And you know what's even, and you know what, I'm going to ride this Aho wave. Because it just dawned on me that, so like last night when Carol and Robbie were on, and they were talking about the game,
mm-hmm.
and Robbie mentioned Aho scoring and whatever. That guy's good. I mean, he's a damn good player, and I'm pretty sure that my comment to those guys on their Sports on the Hill podcast was that he was a damn good player. And I don't usually, and I don't usually say that about any. Well, I got a couple guys I like to follow on other teams just because I'm like impressed with their skills. But that's just weird that you're talking about it and that I had actually said something yesterday. Okay, Gil, we hit our trifecta of things on the same, getting along, kind of scaring me.
You're not going to ride my Aho anymore?
God. There we go. All right, so now that we've had the three things that we agree with, now you're going to start to do all the things that irritate the hell out of me? Maybe. Yeah, I know.
But taking a bit of a serious turn here, I'm looking at the stats for the game, and once again, I mean, it's a wonder that the Caps even won this game, much less were able to stay competitive somewhat. Because just looking at the shot totals, 39 for the Carolina Hurricanes, 39 in this one game, 39.
It was poor Groovy. But he did, I know. And what was ours?
27.
That's not good.
So, yeah, I mean, just terrible. Just terrible output. And shot allowance. It's just awful.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not impressive. I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they seemed, trying to think of if anybody really stood out on the defensive line. Apparently not with 39 shots, but there wasn't I don't know. Like, I just felt like I don't know. I thought they looked so much better on Friday night, and maybe they just got their ass chewed out by Trotz in the locker room after the game at home. But it was like they came out and they did exactly what they were supposed to do, which was go into the break with a win and be on a high so that when they come back from this break that everyone is, dreading because of how they've done in the past, which I think is a bunch of shitty hockey, because I'm tired of them, stop comparing past seasons and jinxing the team. Move forward. So they're back from break, whatever. See how it goes on Thursday and quit throwing the whole team under the bus. Like you're just waiting for them to and lose so you can have a I told you so moment. Not you, Gil. The people who are saying this stuff. Do you understand where I'm?
I was actually about to introduce that topic, but you went right into it. So
Well, it irritated me. And like I spent my, what was it? So I don't know, what is today? Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
What? Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Okay, so on Monday, we didn't have school. That's right.
What are you having for your cocktail?
I know, right? This is how I've been all day. All day I cannot get my days and times, and I don't know. So, who knows? There's something in the... It's probably because it's supposed to snow tonight. It makes me a little bit crazy because I hate the cold.
Do not say the S word.
But anyway, so I spent part of my lunchtime yesterday just, looking at just sports stuff, because I will have a sidebar moment that the games this weekend and the NFL games were freaking awesome. And so I was definitely riding a sports high. And so I was looking at sports pages and stuff on online on Monday. And then I came across this article, and it's a lengthy article about how terrible the team does post, their little Bahama vacations or, whatever. It's a winter break. And so the article just went on and on and on about, players from last year and what they did and what the stats were going into the break and what happened last year and blah, 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 blah. And I just found myself just getting kind of pissed. Like, all right, enough already. Some of the people who were mentioned in the article aren't even on the team anymore. So to me right there, stop talking about it. And it's just, I just hate that. And I hate that DC mentality of people, fans. And then, the Skins don't do well, the Wizards, the Nats, whatever. And it's like, oh, typical DC. Well, I don't want the Caps involved in that vicious cycle. Like I want to see them go, all the way. And I know other people do too, but why are we writing an entire article about what the hell happened last year? It was last year. So let's focus on this year.
Well, the purpose, and see, this is what we're trying to do here. The purpose of reading up on your history is to learn from it. It's not to dwell on it and to make the same mistakes over and over again.
Right, but it would be
to learn from it.
It would be completely different if it was the same exact roster from last year.
Exactly.
But it's not. So in the article, they're talking about Daniel Winnick, they're talking about Marcus Johansson, they're talking about Nate Schmidt. You're talking about people, the guys aren't on the team anymore. So there's no comparison. Like you cannot say, oh, well, when Johansson comes back from break, these are his statistics. I don't give a hey, good luck, good guy, in Jersey, whatever. But when it comes to this, it's like, why can't we just say, hey, this is what we're seeing, and you and I spoke about this. They're changing the lines up, and good on Trotz for that. And it's like we don't know what we're getting ourselves into. Like what he's changing it up. Things are happening. People are improving. I mean, I certainly didn't think that. I mean, I've always been, I'm going to say it again, a Tom Wilson fan, but I feel like more people are starting to respect his sport because he's finally coming into his own this year. So you've got someone like him who, last year I felt like we were talking about other players and he wasn't in that top, discussion. But I just don't understand the point of an article what it's like. You're mentioning all these players that don't even play for us anymore, so there's no comparison.
No, there's not, and I don't get it either. Unless they just don't have anything else to write about because it's that slow
right.
of a week.
Which is true. I mean, like maybe he had a 1,000-word quota he had to fill. I don't know.
they were just trying to in a sloppy, messy way, trying to make the point that the Caps in general just don't do well over the long layoff. I'm not sure. I could have sworn that Carol and Robbie mentioned this last night in a short sense, but it's been thrown out that they generally don't do well after a layoff.
I agree, and this was brought up with Christian, and you and I talked about it, that it is sort of the thing. But what I'm saying is this specific article was really just aimed at how great they did up into the winter break of last year, and then how everything just went to shit afterwards, and everyone was so bummed, and it was what a disappointment, and that this journalist is kind of making it sound like we're heading there again. Hey, FYI, this happened last year. Let's hope it doesn't happen again this year, because here's all the reasons why it could happen again. I was I don't like that. I'm yes, I'm snarky and sarcastic and incredibly opinionated. I'll be the first to tell you. But I'm going to root for the team, from their first game to the last game. You follow them, and yeah, you get frustrated, but, come on. So, and Thursday who knows how they're going to do on Thursday. All I know is that on social media, those guys are having a great time in the Bahamas. Good for them. Let's just hope I want them to come back, tomorrow or whenever it is, and get to Kettler and practice and, feel rested. And now no joke. Now get into it. Don't let, that negativity in their head.
Well, I do like the way that they broke it up this this season. Apparently, basically, half the league had their bye week last week, and then the rest of the league is getting their bye week this week. So they're getting it over and out of the way, all in one, instead of like the NFL, where everybody has their own bye week, smack in the middle of the whatever. But I like the fact that they're getting this out of the way, because it's too. I think it's too much of a disruption.
I agree.
I get the fact that you got to give these guys their rest, and All-Star Week is the perfect week to do it. That's great and whatever, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm ready for this experiment to go away, because I don't think it's all that beneficial. I think the players would like to have some sort of consistency, continuance of the schedule. I think they do a lot better in general. So So. All right, so so what did we talk about? We talked about the All-Star game. We talked about Caps' overall crazy lackluster play, but they're managing to pull out several wins despite that.
My skills.
Your skills in predicting. I'm not to put you on the spot, but and I'm sure this isn't the right time, but do you see anything for the upcoming games? At least right now, or no?
I'm not gonna. You're gonna put me on the spot?
Well, did you need to get into some Zen moment first?
I kind of do.
Okay, so.
Sorry, I gotta get into the right frame of mind to let it, let's see what happens, kind of thing. Now I'm gonna go with let's see, 4-3 Caps over Devils Thursday night.
Oh, okay. So you got that coming to you, eh?
Yeah. So, which is weird. Oh, you know what, Gil? Maybe that's where my 32 came from. Maybe it's going to be 3-2. Holy crap.
So, okay. So you're adjusting your prediction to 3-2 Caps.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll put that to the test. And,
no pressure.
If that works,
just don't do any monetary bets on my skills, because we saw how that was with the horses. So
nobody knows about that.
That's true. Okay.
Okay. So that's interesting. So you don't do anything. No, you know what? No, I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna ask.
Go ahead.
No.
You've opened Pandora's box, Mr. Gill.
No.
What do I do in like ritual things? Is that what you're gonna ask?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Before the game.
Well, to get these. I mean, I don't know. Do you sacrifice a goat or?
No, because that would just be mean, and that's just disgusting, and I don't agree with that. No, I just get into. There's nothing. There's just things that pop in my head, and I've shared them with you about things in your life, and now for whatever reason, this popped in my head with Jay Beagle, and now if the score really is 3-2 on Thursday, I don't know what to say about that. It would be amazing, and it would just be, by chance, but
So
you
it's
and
like so it's like Ghostbusters. It just pops in there.
pretty much, yeah. Good reference.
Okay. And you know what? With that, I think this is a good spot to wrap things up.
Before I put a curse on you or something.
Yeah, maybe. I think you might have already. I don't know.
Good times.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm good. I'm good to close it out.
Okay, fair enough. So, like we mentioned, Thursday night, it's the Devils over at the Rock over there. Then very next night, it's back home against the Canadiens, and then the Flyers, and that'll be it for this week of games. And then we'll probably record next week. No, we will record next week. And so we'll report on that round of games.
Oh, I get to come back. Just kidding.
Yeah, what?
I was just kidding.
Why? We'll talk later.
You're going to get irritated with me. Come on, get fired up. I love it. It's funny.
No, I'm not irritated with you.
I'm too adorable to be mad at. Come on.
There is that.
I did send you that picture. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Headphones and a flower crown and a cocktail. That was pretty adorable. Anyway, yes.
By the way, check out Anna's Instagram account if you want to see what the hell we're talking about.
I did put it on there. Yeah, I'm at Aquanox 49 on Instagram.
Yep, and I'm at BlueLiner98 for Twitter, and GLHALLOWED for email. You want to contact me that way. And there's the home website, blueliner77.podbean.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to check out the show and the notes there. And still got it going on. The Jerry Lewis Telethon continues. We still need donations. Still going to need donations for a while yet. So at the same site I just mentioned, there's the PayPal link. You don't want to go through PayPal. Email me at the same address I mentioned before, GLHALLOWED@yahoo.com, to make other arrangements. And so, yeah, I think this is a good place to end, like I said. And hopefully this crappy play can, still get the team to eke out wins. I said last night on Sports on the Hill, look, they're playing kind of crummy, so it might be a better lucky than good scenario, but as long as they're getting it done. And yeah, I have that mentality, but 39 shots against, that's got to improve, and I think we can all agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, Anna, any final thoughts?
No, I've got nothing.
Okay, all right. So with that, thanks again for listening to the show. Please donate, contact us if you have any questions, anything you want to get off your chest at the contacts we mentioned before. And let's go Caps.
Go Caps!
This has been another episode of the Powerplay Point Podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, BlueLiner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.